Good evening, everyone. Welcome to this special BT Lit launch session. I am Kalam Babu, co founder of Where Thoughts Lit, a self publishing firm that works closely with authors to bring their books to readers across all formats and platforms. Today is International Women's Day. International Women's Day was born out of the early 20th century labor and suffrage movements when women took to the streets in mass protests to demand fair wages, humane working hours, and the right to vote. Over a century later, in 2026, under the United Nations theme Rights, Justice, Action for All Women and Girls, we are reminded that women still enjoy only a fraction of the legal rights, safety, and opportunities that men take for granted. In that context, it feels powerful to gather around a story written by a woman and centered on a complex woman protagonist whose journey, fear, rage, and agency are treated as the main story and not as a subplot. Tonight, that woman is Lavanya Nukavarapu, and the story at the heart of our celebration is her new novel, Eye of a Crow.
Hello, everyone. Great to be here to present my latest book, Eye of a Crow.
So, I'll first start with introducing Lavanya's bio, a very accomplished author's resume here. She describes herself as a dewdrop on the leaf of life. I think that captures her spirit perfectly. She's a finance professional who one day heard the call of poems and stories, became a compulsive writer who couldn't sleep without putting words in the page. I have a particular fond phrase for Lavanya, an ambidextrous virtuoso. And why I use that? What makes Lavanya exceptional is the fact that she is equally adept at both poetry and prose. Her first collection, Bare Thoughts, released in 2018, established her as a poet of striking vulnerability and emotional depth. Last year, in 2025, her poetry collection, See in My Throat, received rave reviews, with readers calling it a must read for lovers of poetry and a collection that feels like home. But she's equally commanding in fiction. Her novels span psychological thrillers, supernatural tales, techno fantasy, love stories, and true crime, each one crafted with meticulous attention to character and atmosphere. Before today, she has published 11 books, some of them co authored with me, and her work has attracted scholarly attention, including a research paper titled The 21st Century Perspectives in the Poems by Lavanya Nukavarapu, presented at a seminar on Indian women's literature in 2020. Beyond writing, Lavanya is a professional editor championing new talent and a co podcaster for Bag of Books, where she brings intelligence and insight to literary conversation. What we're going to do now is release the book Eye of a Crow on Kindle, and then we're going to get into a conversation with the ambidextrous virtuoso herself. So I'll share my screen and complete the formalities of the uh, publishing the Kindle version. I think it appears on my screen now. Uh, could you confirm that, Lavanya?
Yes, I can
Right,
see your screen.
right. So let's go ahead and without much ado, we will finish the launch, and everything is already pre-filled by us.
Yeah. Okay.
So the first screen, you can see the keywords are dark horror, dark fantasy, occult, witches and witchcraft, paranormal horror, body horror, and female rage. So a lot of
Yeah.
exciting conversation ahead. We save and continue.
Yeah.
This is also complete cover, manuscript, everything is done. So we go to the next tab, the final screen, where we can see the details of the book priced at 125 INR and in the equivalent amounts in the rest of the Amazon domains across the world. So here we're going to push this button, and then
Yay!
off it goes
The book is released.
to the
Yeah.
clouds, and this is 1 dozen
In
complete for
process.
Lavanya. Congratulations, Amazon also wishing us.
Dirty dozen. So,
Right,
well,
and
but
each one, and yeah, Lavanya might be speaking in a lighter vein, but it's a fabulous dozen. It's a dazzling dozen. Congratulations once again for your 12th.
thank you.
I'll stop share here,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
we'll get to know more about the book. Why don't you show the book, the
Mm-hmm.
physical book, to the
Uh-huh.
readers?
Yeah. Okay. Can you see it now?
Yes, there it is. Eye of a Crow, Lavanya Nukavarapu, and it's dark and hairy and black, and there's a lot to be unraveled in the dark, in the
Yeah.
darkness.
We saw in the categories, it's a dark horror or a dark fantasy. It's also a body horror. And just from the cover, you can see that eyes, hair play a very important role, or they are the horror elements in this
So
story. So that's
thank,
how it is.
thank, thank,
Okay.
thank
So,
you.
anyways,
And like I said, today is Women's Day, and I think it
yep,
is appropriate and the best time to release Eye of a Crow today.
totally. So, first of all, Kalam Babu, thank you so much for that lovely introduction. Uh, and yeah, so let me let me talk a little bit about the Eye of a Crow. So, Eye of a Crow is a layered story. It covers various themes like female rage, communal grief, cost of power, and trauma manifesting into energy. Uh, Now, horror is just a mask to depict the truth how women have been raped and abused for many years. But the story is just not limited to that. It also explores concepts like cost of power, destiny versus free will, sacrificial love, and above all, the simple theory of life that our actions have consequences. Now, what I also wanted to portray was that the energy or the power by itself is neither good nor bad. But any kind of energy, it could be dark energy, it could be like, positive energy, any sort of energy is not good or bad by itself. But it matters when it is in the wrong or in the right hands.
Right.
No, it is not. It is the hand that wields a sword, right? The sword by itself is innocent. So
Mhm.
the sword doesn't have any power, but when it is in the hands of a good person or a bad person, the outcomes are totally different. And we have history, just confirming what I said now.
And they say the same thing about money also. Money should be in the hands of good people.
Exactly.
Unfortunately, we live in a world
Yes.
where a lot of money is in the hands of
Where money is in
not
the
good people. Yeah.
wrong people.
Right.
Yeah, totally agree with you. So money is also a sort of power,
Mhm.
right?
Right.
Okay. So another point that I would like to talk about is the Chudel, the Hindu folklore or the Indian folklore about Chudel, which actually translates to witch in English.
Wow.
Now,
Okay.
Chudel or witch is what society called women when they were rebellious, when they fought for their rights and freedom. As such, there are no witches capable of doing magic. There's no witchcraft. I totally don't believe in occult as well. But I would like to believe there is magic in the real world. And for me, magic is something totally different. Hope in the face of death, resilience, mental strength, smiling in the midst of suffering, and the
Mhm.
penultimate sacrifice for love. All of these are magic. So, yes, Eye of a Crow deserves to be released on Women's Day as a tribute to all those witches who were killed in the name of occult and black magic, but they were normal women fighting for their and the future generation survival and rights. I know a lot of authors have written on this subject. There are a lot of stories out there, but it also pains me to realize that though we are progressing somewhere in this world, right at this moment when I'm talking about Eye of a Crow, there is a woman who is being tortured, who is treated inhuman, and sometimes even denied basic freedom. So such stories need to be told.
I totally
And
agree.
I'm proud and yeah, and I'm proud and happy to be releasing Eye of a Crow on an International Women's Day. It's like a tribute to all of the women out there.
Absolutely makes sense when I hear you say the rationale of releasing it today. Let's talk a little bit about the horror element.
Yeah, right. So Eye of a Crow falls under the dark horror or occult witchcraft, witches and witchcraft genre, all that. But it also is a dark fantasy because it has some sort of sorcery or some or an element of gothic magic in it. It is an ode for the macabre and is also filled with gore and body violence. Some sections of the book might be difficult to read by sensitive readers, but then that is what horror about.
Mhm.
Horror should invoke a feeling of disgust or it should frighten the readers.
Mm.
Eye of a Crow does both. But you know what? I feel some of the scenes are terrifying. Definitely they're terrifying, but they're also magnificent when you actually think in different ways. Just to give an example, like blood. So when you hear the word blood, what does it evoke? Definitely, it evokes the feelings of dread, suffering, pain, but it is also a symbol for violence and murder. But if you, but there is also a third element to that, and which is actually blood is life flowing in our veins. Without blood, we can't survive, right? So it's a life force, it's a life energy. So things like that. So I think you got a pretty picture
Mhm.
what my book, why I'm saying my book is layered because it kind of, portrays all of these things. And well, like I said before, when I was showing the cover, blood is covered in most of the book, yes, but eyes are equally important in this book because the title itself is Eye of a Crow, and not one, but the many eyes in this book. And again, warning people who have phobia of eyes or get scared easily, I don't think this book is for those people. And one more point I would want to say is that, like again, in the folklore of or Hindu folklore, or we can say just the folklore from India, Chudail or Dians basically believed that Chudails or Dians have power in the hair, or the power of a witch is in her hair. And there are a lot of movies, lot of series on the same. I have also used these body elements like eyes and hair in a very different way, in a very terrifying way, yet in a magnificent way, I would say.
Mhm.
So, Eye of a Crow somewhere qualifies for a mild body horror subgenre as well.
Cool. Okay.
That's all I have to say.
Right. So I never realized that in the trope of the witch there is power in their
Hmm.
hair. I always thought witches like their hair messy as a fashion statement. Now I understand there is some magical power in the hair also. You use two words, Chudel and Dayan. Is it the same? They're synonymous or
Hmm.
in the Indian Hindu folklore?
I don't think a probably a little difference, but yeah, in the Indian
Kind
this
of
thing, but it's
synonymous.
mostly the same. That's what I
Right.
believe.
So,
Synonymous, yeah.
right. So, when you're dealing with horror or any genre that, for that matter, you need to have a USP
Mhm.
for a product. So, for Eye of a Crow, what is the USP?
Yeah.
Is my next question. Yeah.
So for horror buffs, it's definitely the gore and violence, the frightening scenes,
Mhm.
a few visuals that the reader probably has not read before or imagined before. So I think this is a worth a read in the sense that the story delivers a 3D horror simulation. So anybody who wants to try something different, and kind of wants to pick their imagination, I think they should definitely go for an Eye of a Crow. And like I said, it is not for very, weak hearts. Um, Second point I would want to talk is this book or this story is horror with a meaning. Now, though the story is structured and layered, it does not preach, it just shows. And then what I feel is that dark stories get written and published rarely, especially in India. I haven't heard like I haven't heard much about dark these dark story genres, or like a lot of very few people write about this. I don't remember a name at the tip of my tongue to say, like, to talk about it, especially from India. So in that way also I feel this is a USP for the book. um Characters, I would say,
Mhm.
strange characters, all of them have some backstories. They're fun by life, challenges of life and all that, but they have their own innate traits of evil.
Mm.
Uh, and one more thing that I feel I would say would also be the USP of the book is that, and when I was talking about the release in the starting, a brief introduction about energy, I did not cover sexual energy.
Okay.
Sexual energy is also something that I don't think many people have written about it. I did touch on this subject also here. I don't want to give so many spoilers, but if you are really interested to know how different sorts of energies, like, and how, uh, I mean, I don't know. So this book is basically, on a very high level point, is the main subject is grief manifesting into energy.
Wow. Wow.
But somewhere in the story, there is also a release of this sexual energy in the right way and why it is all important. So repression and abuse over a longer period of time, and sort of all of these things, grief, communal grief, not one woman's grief, but over a period of time, what happens and how all of this can lead into cataclysm of events. So I've tried to dabble sort of into all this. So like you see, there are different themes as well. So
Hmm.
I think that's, yeah,
It,
briefly the USP of the book.
that's a very fascinating characterization that you seem to have built into the character. Um, what particularly felt touching was
Yeah,
grief manifesting as energy. People tend to go down or
yeah,
get beaten or just move along with acceptance rather
yeah,
than energize themselves to fight back. And like you rightly pointed out, one of the elements of energy, the sexual energy, and the release of it is dealt with in the book. So this definitely has a strong
mm,
USP that I think it not just 3D that comes and hits you in the face. Because
exactly. Yeah,
knowing you,
not,
I know it will be like watching a 3D movie. The descriptions and the evocative imagery that you build. Um, Maybe people should have a glass of water when they read this book. But let's see. I mean, when they see somebody, how did you get this idea? I mean, like, where did it come from?
uh, absolutely no idea how I got this idea. But yeah, like, okay. So it all started, I believe, I just got one idea or a thought, maybe.
Mhm.
Like, what if
The
a
classic
woman,
fiction
I mean,
what if
I was,
question, right? The classic what if
what if
question
question
of
is,
fiction. Okay.
what if question? And probably that woman is me, myself. So what would happen if I take a different path to office?
Mhm.
Okay. That was what it started. Like, okay, what happens? Like, I go one route every day. What if I take a different route, shortcut, long route, whatever it is? And on that route, I don't know, many of you must have seen birds sitting on the electrical lines.
Yes.
Usually they're harmless, We
Uh-huh.
don't much observe about the birds, but
Mhm.
usually sometimes there are mother of crows sitting on a electric line. And I just thought to myself, what if I was walking under that electric line
Mhm.
and suddenly the birds attack me?
Okay.
And this was what was the starting point of my story. And from there, I just built the story, and that's all. Like how life goes downhill just by one bird attack or something like that. And then, and slowly, one question after the other started building. And the last question was, what if the very thing that is helping you, okay, also wants to destroy you? It's kind of a, I don't know. That's how it started. And then I started
Mhm.
answering each question one by one. And then the character started to form in my mind. Now, the name of the character is Kshipa in this book or the story. The central character is Kshipa. That's how it started, and slowly rest of the characters. So character building in this story was really fun
Mhm.
and disappointing as well, but
Right.
it was a great experience writing this, and I hope readers also enjoy this. Yeah, so that's how it went, Kalambabu.
Right. Kshipa is what? Reverse of bird. In Telugu, bird is
No.
Pakshi. So if you write in reverse, it is Kshipa. In Telugu,
Yeah, I
Pakshi.
know. I
Mhm.
somehow
How did you come with this name? Right?
I really don't know. It's just came to me that Shipa, that's it. And when I went and I typed in Google, like, what is the meaning of this name?
Uh-huh.
Or probably I must have heard somewhere, or I don't know, totally don't know.
Right.
And then it says the meaning of the word is actually night, darkness. So I thought,
Night.
wow, it kind of totally fits my story.
Right.
Yeah, so it's like Nisha, basically night.
Uh-huh.
Uh,
Okay.
I don't know, some of Shipa has a ring to it, like Shipa, and I
Mm-hmm.
could make it key,
Mm-hmm.
like short form. So basically, in the story, Shipa says, "Call me Key. I'm key to friends." So that's
So,
how. That's how.
okay. I
Yeah.
thought you had a play with words for Kshi. Read it reverse in Telugu, Kshipa. It comes. The
I
bird.
understand.
Right.
Shipa, I know. I didn't know this, but
Okay.
coincidentally or whatever, uncoincidentally or whatever,
It so happened like that. Right.
I'm not. It so happened that way.
Okay.
Hmm.
So let's
So I think
see
I'm on
if
the right track. Everything matches.
matches. So let's see as the story progresses, a bird might reverse something in the story because there are in the first part, right? So what is the next part? Actually, how
Yeah.
it's coming along?
I just wrote the prologue last week. Not much.
Mm-hmm.
Totally not much because I don't have all the answers. I just have a very brief outline. And so I would urge the readers to first read this. And when you read this book, you will definitely feel like reading the second part. I'm just absolutely sure about it. So no spoilers, nothing I'm going to say about the second part, but yes, I'm working on it.
Okay. One last question, Lavanya. After hearing you today, it feels like horror should be the primary genre of fiction readers. So, what do you think about that?
Definitely. A lot of people, they feel that horror is scary.
Mm-hmm.
But but I don't think that way. So anyways, that's a big discussion, and I will take a lot of time talking
Mm-hmm.
about it. The good news is I'm writing a blog about it,
Wow. Okay.
and if uh, yeah, so people can read that blog and get convinced why they should read horror. So that's
Mhm.
the aim of writing that blog. But let's see how it goes.
Um, so everybody, this is the first book in the Red Womb trilogy, and there's more to come.
Yes.
And as we heard from Lavanya, this is a gripping supernatural thriller that follows Shipa, packed with eerie encounters and a lot to unravel. The shadowy
Yeah.
presence of occults and so on and so forth. So, Lavanya, it was wonderful to have you today and have this professional to compulsive
Thank you.
storyteller. Your mastery of both poetry and prose, your
Yes.
commitment to championing other writers, all inspires me, inspires the BT Lit authors, and we are thrilled to bring your book to readers worldwide on Kindle, Amazon paperback, and Flipkart. And he said there'll be a blog post also, and hopefully you'll be convinced that horror should be your primary go-to genre for reading.
Happy reading. Bye. Bye, everyone.